Namaskaram, Sadhguru. In the book Inner Engineering, you have
If you
said,
can.
in the book Inner Engineering, you have said that if this planet gives you a chance, you want to transform entire planet into um, what you have enshrined in the south, which you just showed. So, what does the necessary support mean?
See, do you understand her question, what she's asking? We're talking about what she's… I will explain the… What she's asking is, I think in the book, it is said… I haven't read the book, I only wrote it, okay? So, if I say something, I'm only paraphrasing because I don't remember the words there. What could have been said there is, if we create the right kind of energy spaces, human beings will blossom much better. This is why in this culture, people have misunderstood this whole thing now in competition with various other things, but in this culture especially, it was all over the country, but the northern part of the country has taken so much beating in the last 1,000 years of invasions and occupations, you don't see that culture so much. But if you come south, it is still largely intact. You will see this much better because south never really got thrashed by invasions in any big way. Generally it was quiet. Still people want their idli soft and sambar hot, and those are the big concerns because they never really faced any kind of extremes, either of weather or of invasions and occupations. All the time for few thousand years it's been there. So if you look at this, you will see, especially in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, you will see this. The center of the ancient towns is a magnificent temple. If anybody wants to understand engineering and design with the limited material of just having granite stone, it's the most miraculous way of doing things. This temple, to build it, normally it took 1 or 2 generations of people working to the same plan and design. And they never left their names on it. Who is the designer? Who planned this? Not in one place did they write their name. And this was created as a consecrated space. You must understand, these temples were not places of prayer. Never ever did anybody lead a prayer. There is a pujari who does some chores there for you. He is not in any way leading you. He has no power over the people who come there. That's the best part of this culture, that the man who stands in the temple as an official has no power over the people who come there. He cannot tell them what to do and what not to do. This is a very good thing in a religion, that they don't have any power. Otherwise, in the assembly of what is considered a sacred space, you could influence people in so many different ways. So apart from this was mainly an energy center, so the tradition always said, nobody told you must pray, you must send a petition to God or anything like this, but they told you if you go there, you must sit down for some time. Have you heard this? That if you go to your temple, you must sit there for a while. Today people go there, just touch their bottom to the floor and go, because they're doing a ritual of… because somebody said sit down, they sit down and go. The idea is to sit there and imbibe this energy. Every day in the morning, particularly people who are householders or who are in family situations, before they start their daily whatever activity, first thing is take a shower, go to the temple, sit there for some time, then go for your activity. This is like a public battery charging place to charge you up in a certain way. Different types of energies. Today, you want to go for a business thing, you go to one kind of temple. Today, you have a wedding to attend, you go to another kind of temple. Like this, for different purposes, they crafted different kinds of energy systems. The important thing is to just sit there, imbibe and go. They also said, if you are on a spiritual path, you don't have to go to the temple. If you don't know this, sadhus and sannyasis don't go to the temples. They are full-time on spiritual path, so they have their own self-charging methods, they never enter any temples. I've built them, but I never go there. I never go there because if I close my eyes, things are handled for me. I don't have to go and sit in a public place where other people are making use of it. So, this was created for a specific purpose so that a human being can blossom. in the sense, if you want your plants in your garden to be full of flower, you have to maintain a certain ambience, isn't it? Similarly, if human beings have to blossom to their full potential, a certain ambience is needed. This is not about worship, this is not about belief, this is about creating a certain kind of ambience so that naturally it'll be easy for a human being to blossom. Right now, as an example of this, I think they showed the Dhyana Linga. What this means is, without any instruction, without any preparation, you can make people meditative. People just come and sit there not knowing anything about it, they've never heard what is meditation. They will sit there thinking they'll sit for 10 minutes, they'll sit for 1 or 2 hours without knowing what happened. Simply because the very energy ambience is such that they will become meditative. Like this, so many things can be created. The important thing is, every home used to have a consecrated space. If you just look back, if you just go to any house, which is like, let's say 3 generations of people have been living there, they will have a sizable puja room. Somewhere there will be one yantra, there will be some consecrated substance, object, but now because of their fear, they have added 24 gods all over the place. Every time somebody brings one new god, they will put it there because fear has become the key now. Fear has become the basis of all this. But if you look at any home which is over 2 or 3 generations, you will see always there is a consecrated object in the house, because they knew the benefit of this and they knew how to use it for their benefit. There are different ways to use this for health, for well-being, for prosperity, like this there are many kinds of things that one can create, or for spiritual well-being, all this. So what I might have said in the book is, if we create this in every working place, in every home, in every office, in the cities, that people are in a cared-for space, it's very important. In many ways, this is what a design school means in a different way, that when you live somewhere, you must live in a cared-for space. An uncared-for space will create a different kind of culture within ourselves, different kind of psychological makeup within us, different kinds of behavior. When, many years ago, about 25 years ago, I went to speak in a college in Bangalore. It's called… The problem is these videos are going to go everywhere. This college, maybe I hope it's improved now, it's called Acharya Pathashala. You heard of this? In Bangalore city, among the young people, they call these college students as apes. Acharya Pathashala is apes. They're very proud of being apes. So I went there to speak. I just looked. Everything that can be ripped off has been ripped off, including the door shutters, window shutters, even the steel bars are all bent and removed. Only the concrete shell, which they could not demolish, is standing. I looked at this and said, no wonder everybody calls you apes. This place is only fit for apes, this is not for human beings. Human beings need a better ambience to blossom. So when we created our schools, I said one thing is, it must be a super cared-for space. Children should walk gently and they must learn to maintain these things. First of all, they must learn to live gently and well among themselves. Today, if you come and see our Isha Home School, it's like an art museum. Not one thing in the last 12 years has ever been damaged by the children. They manage everything. Young children, they just learn to live in a cared-for space, and parents are saying, Sadhguru, how to provide these things at home? They're coming and demanding, why is the house so bare and bad like this? Our school is so wonderful. It's very, very important, all of you are in design, that you should put India back on its aesthetics. Aesthetic is very important for how human psychology evolves, how a human being behaves, how he shapes himself, depends on the shapes and forms and sizes that we create around. If it is in some way oppressive, we will become those kind of harsh people. So, this is very important, not only to create a physical ambience and aesthetic ambience, energy ambience is also equally important. What kind of support we need? We need you, that's why I'm here.